Hey everybody, welcome back again, and today I am looking at another relatively new figure that's just now starting to hit store shelves. I found this one today. This is August 19th of 2025, and just now saw this starting to hit the shelves at Target. And this is going to be the Hasbro Studio Series Transformers the movie, the 1986 version of Megatron. And I know that there's been a lot of debate about this one online, the fact that his alt mode is a tank and not a gun like the original Transformers toy from the 80s. And I've just come to the acceptance that we're never going to get, at least in the US, a gun mode of Megatron that looks like that classic 1984 toy. But with all that aside, let's go ahead and get this guy unboxed and let's see what he looks like. So looking at the box, it's consistent with the kind of the new packaging that they've done. They've removed the 86 nomenclature, and now it's just Transformers the movie. I will say this is a leaders class figure. The price point on this one, I think, was $59. So it's gone up considerably, at least from the last series of leader figures that were still, I think, in that kind of $54, $55 range. But looking at the front of him, you can see he's a fairly large figure. I mean, height-wise, he is kind of a leader class figure, but he looks really small in the box. There's a lot of emptiness in this box here. But just looking at it, we've got the box art with a cool shot of Megatron, and then obviously the tank mode that was never seen in a cartoon. On the side, we've just got some logos and a little bit more of the art that wraps around the side. And then on the other side of the box, we've got a bigger version of that front side panel. And then on the box, we've got some toy shots, a scene from the 86 movie, it looks like, and just kind of some shots here of the figure with his accessories. So with no further delay, let's go ahead and get this guy open. So with him, we get his instruction manual, and I think the back of it said he transforms in 54 steps, or was it 64? 54 steps. So looks to be a fairly complex figure. I don't know if I'll try to transform this on camera. I may just do that off camera and then come back and look at the alt mode. He is fastened up in here pretty well. We've got the typical Hasbro rubber bands. So there's the figure. And we've got his arm cannon that's banded up in here as well. And then we've got a small package of accessories. Alright, so here we have the figure, and he still has rubber bands hanging all off of him here. So, good looking figure. He is fairly accurate, I would say, to the old school animation model. I know there's also some debates as to the color accuracy. The legs do look a little bit light to me, but it kind of makes me wonder, you know, I know that they use the animation models to come up with the color schemes for these figures. I have to wonder with some of these figures if maybe they were looking at original animation cells where the color may look a little bit different on that cell versus what we see. You know, if we go online and pull it down and are looking at it on a, you know, a bright LED monitor or something like that, that's the only way I can think maybe to account for a color here that is off as much as it is. But as you can see, it's kind of a bluish gray color, very contrasted with his hip skirts. Let's look at his articulation. So the head goes all the way around. We've got a little bit of up, a little bit of down, a little bit of wiggle side to side. The arms go all the way around. I will say this arm joint is a little bit looser than I expected. But the arm goes all the way out. Can't really get it up any further than that because of this part here hinders any further movement up. We do get bicep swivel and we get elbow bend. It's a little bit more than 90 degrees. And then we've got hand swivel around. And this hand obviously looks to be the same mold as the hand that was on the 86 Optimus Prime. So we should be familiar with that. For the waist, we get waist all the way around. We get legs all the way up to the side. Leg all the way up. Leg all the way back. And at the knee, we get a little bit more than 90 degrees there. We do get a thigh swivel. And we get an ankle tilt. We get a little bit of toe up. So I would imagine that's part of the transformation. And maybe just a hair of toe down. You kind of have to break the sculpt a little bit in order to do that. So a good bit of articulation here in this figure. I would say this is on par with a leader class. And look at that too. We do get a little bit of a butterfly with the shoulders as well. So very similar to what we got with the Optimus Prime figure. So really a nice amount of articulation for a Hasbro figure at least. Let's see what we've got in the bag of accessories. All right, so in the accessories, we've got a couple items. We've got one, the sword that's, if you have the MP36 figure version of Megatron, you're familiar with this sword. It also made an appearance in the cartoon. It's kind of his Energon sword. A smaller version of Megatron in gun mode. And so if you take a look at this, it's got a very small peg. Let's see if we can get it focused. So not super terribly accurate to the actual gun mode of Megatron, but that'll look good in Starscream's hand. And then we've got the barrel of the gun that was kind of a hallmark of the Megatron transformation into bot mode. So we get that barrel sticking straight up on his back. So nice in terms of accessories. We do have his arm cannon, and let's see. Here we go with his arm cannon. I know there's also some debate on the accuracy of this as well. It doesn't quite look right to me. There's something weird looking about it. It just looks a little bit too short on the front end. But again, I think that's probably a function of the fact that this becomes the barrel of the tank. So in bot mode, he's a pretty good looking figure. Let's get him in here closer with the Optimus Prime figure and kind of get a little bit of a comparison. So this Optimus Prime figure, just for disclosure, does have the Toy Hacks labels, so it's not exactly as it comes out of the package. I've got some additional decals on it, but height-wise, they match up pretty well. Let's zoom in on them a little bit. So they do scale very well together. Height-wise, they are roughly the same height. The Megatron is maybe just a hair taller. So overall, I would say really pleased with the figure. This is probably one of the nicest consumer level versions of Megatron that we've gotten, even better than the original toy, because everybody knows that original toy is pretty terrible as far as playability. But yeah, I would say it's a very good looking figure. I would definitely recommend it if you collect the Hasbro stuff. Obviously not as nice as the MP36, not as nice as the new age version of the Megatron and Chug scale that came out earlier this year, but still a very good figure. Again, I don't know that it's worth the price, the $60 price tag. I think back to some of these leader classes, you know, going back, for example, this guy is a casemate with the reissue of the 86 Studio Series Grimlock. So when that figure came out, I don't know, 5 years ago, the leader class figures, I think the price point was still under $50 for those. And now they're $60. So I don't know, it's very difficult for me to justify the price increase because they don't, while this particular figure, his gaps are filled in pretty well. There's not a whole lot of kibble. There's not a whole lot of waffling. Generally, the figure prices on these things from Hasbro have definitely outpaced the quality of figure that we've gotten. But I will say that the quality on this figure is pretty good so far. So I'm going to take a few minutes to get this guy transformed, and we'll take a look at it in the alt mode and see what we think of that. All right, so here we've got Megatron in his alt mode, in the tank mode. So let's zoom in on him a little bit and take a look. So pretty much what you would expect out of the tank. It's pretty simplistic. The transformation is kind of cool. They did some really neat things with it. Like I say, it's a tank mode. This is what we've come to expect from the Megatron alt modes. You know, not a whole lot different from the Siege version of Megatron, a little bit beefier, you know, sized comparably with the Megatronus Prime that came out in the Age of the Primes line a few months back. So as far as articulation in the tank mode, we've got a couple of wheels here on the bottom that let them slide across, and we get a rotation in the turret, but it's, you know, really kind of wonky looking. There is no elevation in the turret. But yeah, it's pretty simple. Again, I'll never have this thing in the alt mode. It just looks weird to me. Megatron is a gun, but I've come to the terms with the fact that we're never going to get one of those in the toy line, at least geared towards kids. With these figures. So yeah, there you have him. Again, you know, pretty decent figure, I would say. One of the better offerings as far as a leader class figure goes. And there we have it. So I appreciate everybody watching. If you like this content, please like it, please subscribe, and I will keep doing more of them. Thanks, and have a good day.